And you're listening to iTalk 106.7 FM, the voice of the mountain. I'm your host, Janine Ford. And I'm really happy to have a gentleman. His name is Dan Baker. Dan, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing great. Okay. Well, Dan, tell us a little bit about your background, because you have big concerns over chemicals and possible contamination by a lot of these renewables. And so tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, my background was I've done federal accounts, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, remediation for lead abatement.
So
and,
go ahead.
You know, if you have X amount, that house could be contaminated and kids are, including adults, it has long-term effects, you know?
Right. And so what made you start to become concerned about, and let's talk a little bit about, well, let's start in the basics. On a solar panels, what do they have in them? What kind of chemicals?
Well, I can verify they have 12 to 15 grams, varying on which model of lead, and they have 18 to 22 grams of cadmium per panel, covered with PFAS. So the silicone that covers it is PFAS.
So what are some of these chemicals? How bad are these chemicals for those of us who know nothing about those chemicals?
You know, your average range, say I have 500 panels, probably not going to do much to the environment. Where does the threshold start to break where it's destroying the environment? Is it 5,000? Is it 50,000? You know?
Right. And cadmium, what is that?
Cadmium is highly toxic, very cancerous, basically chemical that we're introducing in areas that probably doesn't have that saturated level.
Okay, so looking at these big solar farms and big old wind turbines, you know, and all the junk that comes along with them, what you basically have asked of different counties is to do a baseline soil test, right? That would seem like a no-brainer to me, to test the soil at the beginning and then test the soil at the end and make sure you leave it the way you found it, right? That seems like a no-brainer.
The problem here is, so spontaneous glass break, some of the panels spontaneously crack. Should it be it's too hot, too cold, it went too fast some way, and that will introduce the toxins into the environment.
Possibly the air, the soil. Now, we heard where big old hailstorm came through that one giant one in Texas, and they're saying that dirt, I mean, it's going to be like brown earth for like 100 years or something, or maybe forever, right?
I'm guessing, and I guess because we don't have data analytics, that would be nice. And that would, but what we see now, similar to a few data centers, if we don't have the baseline, there's nothing to go by. There's no guidance. You don't know what's there. So say I'm a developer, I'll say, hey, that was already there.
Okay, so in Navajo County, let's say, in Apache County, are they requiring baseline soil testing?
That's not what I gathered through the information of calling them. Yeah. And so I do this across the U.S., call counties and state regulators and EPA. What I can say, I'm amazed we don't have baseline. What I do have data analytics of baseline testing, it doesn't look good. I think I sent you the leaching factor of the years within 15 years, how much of the panel has leached.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how can we protect ourselves? What do we need to demand from our county, like Navajo? And I want to ask you, too, you tried to call and ask some questions at Navajo County. What kind of response did you get? And you don't have to name names, but what kind of response did you get?
What I'm going to say is, so I speak across, there's counties that actually care about their constituents and give the time and will want to give that information out.
Right.
It's a shame in certain counties I have to do FOIA requests an open records request to get that information that should already be information for the community.
Right. So they didn't just say this is your answer. But we know that they're not requiring the baseline beginning soil test and the ending. And why is the beginning is so important, right? Because in the end they can say, it was always like this, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, why it's important is because then you know the levels right now. And we're introducing, let's say some of these projects have 100,000 panels. That's bad. I mean, where do you know? Later, after they take it out, you can never get the soil the same way.
Right.
And I think Frito-Lay's will not grow any potatoes near any of those facilities just for that reason.
See, and that's what you have to realize, folks, is that they all look neat and clean and self-contained, but there's tons of chemicals and cancer-causing chemicals. And then we hear, this is the other side note, we are in high fire danger area, okay? And the scariest part, and I brought this to their attention and asked questions, the scariest thing is we don't have hazmat with our fire crews. We don't have enough fire crews to be covering if some of these things go up in flames, like the battery centers or whatever else. And you can't throw water on them because then all the chemicals go right into your water supply. But my question is, if they're catching fire like the battery fields, what kind of chemicals are we breathing in,
So the glycol.
Okay, we have a big old static thing here. I'm going to ask, can you call me back?
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, we'll be right back, everyone. iTalk 106.7 FM, the voice of the mountain. And welcome back, everyone. We got rid of our static thing there. We've got Dan Baker on the phone. We're continuing our conversation about the environment and the environmental concerns with these giant solar fields with all the chemicals and the wind turbines. And you said, too, we were talking about fighting them in a firefighter kind of thing. They say they can't throw water out. We don't have hazmat. But there's hazardous materials that are a problem all along, and that has to do with cooling these things, correct?
Yes.
And tell me about that. Is glycanol kind of like antifreeze?
I'm not the best expert out of Environmental Testing USA.
Yeah.
I can say, it needs something to cool it down. It's it's kind of like a radiator of a car.
Right. And so they use some of this glycanol to cool these things down.
Yep.
And so some of that goes into the water supply.
Well, once you flush it and you need clean, that's what I've been asking every community. And then most of them, like 99.99, don't even know, oh, really, that's in there?
Well, and this is my confusion. We have the EPA, right? Is the EPA, like you said, there's all this pre-soil testing and all these tests done on residential, but not on industrial. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that is just creepy. Why would that be?
My personal opinion, money talks.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So, so with the locals, and they're figuring it's so far out there, it's so far away. We have the precious Coconino Aquifer that sits under our entire area. And like they've tried to, like when they're talking about these massive wind turbines all across Apache County, there are springs, Dan, all through there. We have springs that come up.
Wow.
We have people that have wells at 60 feet. Okay. So you can't tell me that 4,000 to 5,000 tons of rusting rebar, steel, and crap under each one of these wind turbines is not going to affect our Coconino Aquifer. And now looking at these solar fields with the 16 kinds of chemicals and stuff they have, and if one breaks, that our aquifer becomes toxic. I mean, it's really, really scary. So you're saying that right now our county, Navajo, and we know Apache, they don't have all this heavy, heavy testing. And to protect us, they need to have this testing, right?
So what they'll say is the state does it, and then the state will say EPA does it.
And then nobody does it.
Nope.
And they don't tell anybody. And see, the thing is that as the cancers evolve and all the things evolve, this goes to, and I've said this so many times, Dan, is 100 years from now when somebody comes through this area and they see the giant turbines and they see all the mess that's left behind because they haven't been remediated, right? And people think remediation, it's dug out of the ground, but now I've got new concerns with, what I'm hearing about all these chemicals. How long does it take those to go away, after you've contaminated the soil? And ranchers that think it's okay to ranch their cattle all around these things and under them.
See, here's the problem. The ranchers can't have 10,000 pounds of glycol there, but these facilities can. And it's against, I'm pretty sure, codes, and they get fined heavily by the county. When it comes to corporations, we just tend to look the other way.
Because it's big, big, big money. And then the other scary level to this is most of these are foreign companies that are putting these all in.
It's not really as big money as you think, because if it was big money, you wouldn't need subsidies.
Right. Oh, no. It's just
ours somehow, and like I think I sent you, where I've got NGOs fighting against me now, and they're handsomely paid. This nonprofit I'm with is a public nonprofit. Everybody listening to this, every U.S. citizen owns it.
Yeah,
we're
and
fighting here for citizens.
And what is your nonprofit? How can people find out more information on this?
We're ETUSA.org. ET like ET phone home. Environmental Testing USA. We are forefront and pioneering baseline testing for NIH to be the first to bring in these industrial data centers. Anything industrial should have a baseline testing. When we're basically, I'm a citizen, I'm building a house, they're going to make us jump through hoops. What I see, where it says on applications, does it have hazardous chemicals? These developers have a choice of yes or no. And I just had, I'm not going to say who, but they just retracted an application, and about the second biggest developer 2 days ago.
Ooh, really? Because they realized, wait a minute.
And they even said everything I said is taxes, yeah. And then they even said this: we don't have data after 23 years.
Oh, yeah. No, do you know what? You just hit something on that. Everything I ask about, we don't have data. I love, like with now the realtors kind of kicked in and they said, wait a second. All these things, people don't want to live under all these things, right? Well, we're talking about this and they go, well, we don't have data that your land value is going to plummet. We have no data. And I said, where are you looking? And they're looking in our immediate area. I said, okay, guys, this is 50-year-old technology. You need to be looking in Oklahoma and Texas, okay, where the land values plummeted 50%. But, we don't have any data. And then a lot of the data is skewed through the environmentalists. You know what I mean? It's really creepy. A lot of it's creepy, Dan.
Yeah, it's best way I can put it. I wrote a book. It's called American Chernobyl. And because of what I said, my thesis is now a reality. I called it 3-4 years ago of how they didn't test these. It took me 3 years of working this, of FOIA requests, open records. We're talking an obscene amount of time.
So
but I'm glad I did, because now I know the truth. Yeah. And people should know the truth, too.
See, that's the sad part, is that we want to have all the information. We want to study and we want to learn. So you wrote the book, American Chernobyl. And again, what your nonprofit is, it's ETUSA?
Yes, ma'am. .org.
ETUSA.org. That is ETUSA.org. And it's Dan Baker, and you've got a lot of great articles. And you've looked at certain areas of what's happened to them. And that one article you sent me with the Moss, is it the Mossy Creek?
Yeah, the Moss Landing.
Yeah, the Moss Landing. In a nutshell, to tell our listeners, what happened there?
Well, that's a chain of consultants. So I've dealt with thousands of consultants and lawyers of the renewables or the corporations. And they've told me I wouldn't be here without subsidies.
Right. So the subsidies.
Dozens, and some of the biggest. Not going to say who.
Yeah.
But they know it. I know it. And they even agree with me. Where we should have them is maybe Browns Fields because it's already ruined. But how far will that trap, the PFAS, every panel's covered with PFAS. How far will that go along? You said it. I mean, the water line.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the sad thing is we didn't realize how, so many normal people just don't realize how toxic these are, and that's the sad thing. It's all these toxins, but it's big money. So they try to flood in here. Can I ask you now, so why wouldn't local boards of supervisors want all of this testing? Why don't they want it?
This is what I know. Okay, say you own the business. Would you want proof to show liability?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So in a nutshell, the world is a business. And in the business, you're going to take away that money?
Gotcha. And so if they say, we didn't know, it's not our
You
place.
And
we
that's
had no
why I'm
idea.
trying to say do 2%,
we had no
3%
idea.
of a third party like us who's not vested in here with corporations. We're here for the truth.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah.
So, again, we're in the National Science Foundation. There is no data analytics of these toxins because there's never been a test. But I can tell you in there, because we're the first to do this actual application. Okay? Across the U.S. There's several sectors, and they actually reach us to your area. If one of these go in, but we have the study for fish, and that fish, is it a trans fish? Does this make sense? But we don't have study for chemicals that's killing the citizens that's paying for the subsidies that pay for it all.
Wow.
It's weird. Or monkeys,
so weird.
How they do cocaine. This stuff is wild. You're right.
All these tests, but we're not testing. Yeah. And but we know
cocaine and monkeys.
Right.
Let's have a study on that. But we don't have realism study. It's like children are running the country and has been for 50 years.
And the thing that's sad is that all of these chemicals we know individually, like you say, cadmium, is that how you say it? That causes cancer. So if you and you have these other, and all the lead, the tons of lead you're saying is in them. So if those things get into our water supply, now, and I understand that some of these solar fields have a gigantic seal they can put under them. It's extremely pricey. But there are some extra layers of protection. But
so you're going to put a big PFAS rubber membrane underneath it, miles and miles of square?
Yeah,
okay.
Something. I don't know. I'm just kind of reaching out there.
Trust me, I've had these conversations with the biggest developers.
Have
you? They always come up with, look at this sheep, and they're eating right next to it. I'm like, do you know it's still leaching? See, a spontaneous glass break as a custom builder, I can't see it.
Yeah. And the sad thing is that if your wildlife is coming up, close to these, around the fenced areas, and you want to graze under the turbines, and it's super scary. We're going to have to start to have labels on our meats and different things that if you've been grazing in an area with all these chemicals that, we want to buy our meat somewhere else. I don't know. It's just scary.
We won't know. Here's the problem. So labs, NGOs can easily be bought out, I see.
Yeah,
So what happens when that bought out lab, bought out NGO is saying, this is great stuff right here. Look, there's nothing. Just like Moss Landing.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So what do we need to do as citizens? What can we do to help prevent this? What do we need to be doing right now?
It is a crime, and a heavy crime, for leaders to not care and bring in development. That's their job. That's what I told somebody up there. This is your job. You're supposed to keep your constituents, your community safe. And then I got hung up on.
Oh, you got hung up on twice from Navajo County, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a 50-50. There's some communities that truly, genuinely care, and they get down to the source, and then suddenly, so they'll retract all these subsidies off of their thing, and now all of a sudden their electric bills aren't going up.
Yeah, it's so sad. The sickest thing too is that we, through these subsidies, we are paying for all of this trash to trash our lands. It's lovely. So, Dan, what can we be doing? Should we be writing warning our boards of supervisors, standing up and saying, hey, you've been warned. We need baseline soil testing. We need to know where we're at. We need protection. And you've been warned.
So what we do is once communities are finally pissed off, we start doing FOIAs. We start opening up a Pandora's box. And once the legality ends, first off, if there's no baseline testing, they done drop the ball. You see that part?
Right.
Citizens' Right to Know Act trumps any state, trumps any county laws and rules and regulations. I don't know if you know that.
Okay, there we go. Well, Dan, can I tell you? Yes, we've got a lot of upset people up here. I have hundreds of them on my radio show. They've tried citizens ordinances. I mean, they've been pleading, begging. We have lots of that. So, can you put us on your docket?
Absolutely. We would love to get involved. And I went at the panel count, and I can tell you how much toxins, and weight-wise, is in your community.
Right. And how much is coming, what they've just approved, up there, and all the big ones that they've just approved also recently in the last 6 months.
The one down south of you, they have over 100,000 tons of lead. Tons.
Oh.
200,000 tons of cadmium. And once you start talking these numbers, this is why they can't give me a panel count, because then I'll know to the tons
how many chemicals will be in our area. Oh my gosh.
Well, that's a weight. That's an obscene amount of weight. And to not have a baseline testing when I'm talking 100,000 tons.
Wow.
And not one test?
Yeah, no testing.
Make it make sense.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. Make it make sense. Dan Baker, this is fascinating, and I would love for you to touch base and let me know what's going on. Okay, in your fight, can you call me or text me and let me know? Hey, I want to come on again. Let's talk about this. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I would want to further it where the leaders there work for you guys. Remember that part. You can vote them out, especially if they're doing corruption. Holy cow!
Yeah,
I shouldn't have to FOIA request something that's just public knowledge.
Yeah, just let us know what our count is that's coming to an area with all the chemicals. Exactly. And why we're not doing the baseline testing. That's what I want to know. Maybe.
So down south, we did put the baseline testing in our comprehensive plan, which makes sense up there.
Yeah. That would be great. Yes.
So for 25 years here, which there's still, we did get one place to I think next year we have our first baseline testing happening in the United States. Wow. I commend the developer for being upfront and going, right?
Yeah. That'd be, what a thought. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, so there is developers that want to show that, hey, we mean good, and they probably genuinely don't know. Because the lady I know that was head of it didn't know what I was talking about.
Right. And it's all about education. But the big thing for me is if you're telling people, hey, FOIA us or whatever else, and you're not it's a lack of transparency. When there's a lack of transparency and they will not tell you and they will not talk about it, that's where, probably some
and then
bad
they
things
hang
are
up
happening.
on you.
Yeah, and then bad things are happening. Exactly.
And that hardly I'd say 20% out of thousands of calls, I hardly get hung up on.
So you were hung up on twice from Navajo.
But that happens to be your jurisdiction.
So that's telling you right now kind of where we're at in these counties.
Corruption.
Yeah.
It's reaching corruption.
And I will tell you that Navajo flows with Apache up here big time. It's all the same thing because they've been front loading this for years with the renewables. Heavy through a group called Real AZ. So
which is a nonprofit, right?
It was. And then, yes, exactly. So, okay, Dan Baker, thank you so much. We're out of time for today, but it's etusa.org, etusa.org. And Dan, keep me posted on what's going on, okay?
Don't be afraid to email. Let us know. By law, if you live near any industrial facility, there should be a baseline testing, right?
Right.
That's all.
It's not too much to ask
for. I
for.
can't stress that enough.
Okay.
It took me years to figure out there is no baseline testing.
That's crazy. Just crazy. ETUSA.
I appreciate your time and having me on. And
Dan, thank you so much, and thank you for fighting the good fight, okay?
Likewise, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much. Dan Baker, he wrote the book American Chernobyl, and you can find out more information, etusa.org. That's etusa.org. Dan, thank you so much. All right, keep it right here, everyone. iTalk 106.7 FM, the voice of the mountain.